Good morning. I am going to wing this. We've decided, a couple of people have decided that we're going to do a few testimonials today. I'm going to start it off. Doug Gaff's going to do one. Then we're going to open it up to the floor to anybody who wants to get up and speak. This is a time of transition. And when we decided to do this, to take on this challenge of finding a new minister, basically I said to everyone, it's time to put on your work gloves and your work boots and get this done. And we did it. So, for anyone that was here last week, I got a question for you. Did you experience God? Think about it for a second. I'm an emotional guy, so please just bear with me. I've been asked that question a bunch of times, like, when have you ever experienced God in the sanctuary? And one of them, well, a lot of them have been the Congregation Speaks series. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that participated in it this year. It was phenomenal. I know that the numbers are down usually during the summer, but those people of you that weren't here during the summer, you missed a bunch of great, great sermons. So it shows that this is a very healthy and very happy church. For people to get up and pour their hearts out to us and express their feelings, it's unbelievable. So it's definitely something that's going to continue, and I love being a part of it. Next Sunday, I believe it's Steve Paxia that's going to preach, and then don't know what's going to happen on the 4th. It might be me, it might be somebody else. So it's up and open. So like I said, and it's kind of funny how this all, for me, how it all came about. When Renee and I decided to come back to church after we got married and we had kids, and we said, you know, we got to do something. We got to give the kids some kind of education. I walked through the doors and sat down and listened to Jeff Johnson's first sermon, and I believe it was one on him going up to Salisbury, Mass. To see his cousins, to visit his cousins. And they happened to be bouncers in a biker bar. I spent 2 years bouncing in Boston. I ride a Harley. I'm like, wow, this guy's right. It's like, you know, it's like, how's this happen? So I said, okay, I'll give it a second chance. So I came and listened to him a couple more times, and one of them was he had talked about Mount Masada in Israel, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It's when the Romans besieged Mount Masada, and over 600 Jewish people committed suicide instead of being captive. I stood on the top of Mount Masada, and it's one of the things that leaves a lasting impression, believe me. So I was hooked, and Renee and I stayed here for the rest of the time. So I'm glad I did. It was a great 21 years with Jeff, and I am looking forward to the next 21 years. I think the timing was right. Wendy Vanderhart, our conference minister, said to me, Jeff, the right person is out there. You just have to go find him. Well, according to last Sunday, we did. We found him. And Doug's up next. I'm going to end with what Jeff Johnson used to tell me. Almost wants to make you believe that there really is a God. Thank you.
I am also unprepared for today, but I'm going to start a stopwatch, so I will be mercifully brief for you guys. A little word of advice. As I was sitting up there thinking about what I was going to say and coming down here, Lorna comes up to me and said, "Did you know that your daughter's been putting tape all over your back every time she hugs you?" So the takeaway for today from me is that don't trust tweens who have just started middle school, all right? I would like to tell you a little bit about my journey through Christianity. It starts for me, like most of you, I imagine, when I was very young. I grew up in the church. My parents were raised Nazarene. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a very evangelical, fundamentalist denomination. And they grew up in the middle of Indiana, and it was a very religious part of the country anyway. And so we were raised Nazarene. We started off in the church, and my earliest memories are, believe it or not, singing in the church, if you can imagine that, doing solos as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and participating in Sunday school and all the other things. And while there's a lot about the evangelical branch of our faith that I struggle with personally, I'm thankful for the foundation that my parents gave me attending church in those early years. I think like most people, when I got to college, started to question everything. Why do I spend Sundays going to church? Why do I believe this? If you look at the theology of Christianity in any kind of scientific or logical way, it's really hard to digest, right? It's hard to understand how God would create us and then punish us for screwing up, and then have to send somebody to forgive us for screwing up. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of logical sense. And thankfully, there are other ways to look at the theology besides the traditional fundamentalist way. But for me, at the time in my life, it was too much. I said, I can't do this. This is not for me. But I had a good friend that I'd met in high school who was very Catholic at the time, wanted to become a priest. And he's like, you got to come to church with me. So he would drag me to Mass on Sundays. And Mass on college campuses is not like Mass everywhere else. It's basically a giant party that happens to have the Lord's Supper at the end of it. So it was really kind of nice. And he and I have gone back and forth about spirituality over the years. We've been friends since then. He's more of an atheist now. He's kind of left his belief system. But we still talk about it. We still talk about what's important to us, what we believe, and kind of what we hope is true in the world. When Brenda and I moved up here to Boston, we were looking for a place to get married. We had gotten engaged in D.C., and we moved up here. It's like, okay, we're going to find a church, we're going to find a place to get married. And we tried a few churches in the area, and nothing really resonated with us. And then we came in here, and it was a summertime, there was nobody here, and we were by far the youngest by a long shot, but there's something about the energy of the place that just grabs you when you come in. We experienced that energy last Sunday. It's been a while for a lot of us, and that's been hard for us because that energy is so critical to who we are as a congregation and why we keep coming back and why we care so much about each other. But even back then, 15 years ago, when we walked in that door and there were very few people, the energy was still there. And whether you believe or not in a Holy Spirit, there's definitely something about this congregation that brings out a Spirit of God. And it gripped us. We joined. We got married here. Brenda was baptized here. Delia was baptized here. She had her first communion, which I got to give her as a deacon, which was very special. And we remained committed to the congregation and committed to our church community. And it's not just about Sundays, as you know. I mean, many of us are friends outside of church. We get together and we do social things. And we look out for each other when somebody needs childcare, when somebody needs help, somebody needs support, when somebody needs someone to talk to when they're going through really tough times in their lives. And there are a lot of people in the church who have gone through tough times lately. We're here for each other. And that is an excellent statement of Christianity for me. So today, I think my faith today is best summarized by the X-Files poster, I want to believe, right? I think it still doesn't make logical sense to me. It probably never will. I'm a very mathematically, scientifically oriented guy. That's what I do for a living, and it's how I've been trained, and it's really hard to separate that and say, I'm going to leave all that aside when I come to church every Sunday. But I think there's room for thinking bigger about theology and about Christianity than just the formula of my childhood. And the great thing about the UCC, the great thing about this church, is that it gives us a place to ask those questions, to be on that journey together, to express the doubt, but also to express the joys and the excitement and that sense of God that we do get even amidst the doubt. So echoing what everyone else has said here this morning and what we'll continue to say, we're starting on a new journey now. I have to be honest with you, the search committee was a tremendous amount of work. I've never put in that much time for a church activity ever. And I felt a sense of relief last week And as I was thinking about it during my insane week at work this week, I realized, actually, the work is just beginning. We actually did the easy part already. Now we've actually got to provide a supporting, loving environment for this young minister that's coming to our pulpit. And we have to come together in ways that maybe we haven't done before to make sure that Reverend Allen is successful here and that together we can grow the church to its next phase. And so I think we can do it. I'm not worried about that. We shouldn't rest on our successes at this point. So thank you for listening, and God bless our church.
Hi. Oh, this is harder than I thought it'd be. So I'm Rebecca. I haven't been here in a while. I missed Jeff so much that I was kind of one of those that hid out. But I'm really glad to be back. But what Doug said made me think I wanted to share something. I was also raised in an evangelical church, Southern Baptist, and they love to preach about hell and how people who weren't saved were going there and it was miserable, and that Jesus was going to come like a thief in the night and take up all the saved and everyone else is going to be left, and all of that, all the time. They love to talk about that. So I came here, and Jeff was here, and I looked in the program, and the Bible passage was that same thief in the night Revelations passage that I heard about so many times as a child, and I started to shake because it was scary. I remember just scary that people would come and my friends would be left behind and all this ridiculous stuff, right? So he gets up there and he says, God is coming like a thief in the night. And to me, that means, he said, that you never know when you will get the chance to be God for someone or to see God in other people or things, that you should be open to the surprise of being there for someone or seeing God through someone. And that just was like, that's the kind of God I can get behind, you know? And it was beautiful, and I came back because I loved that. And I've seen that here so many times, and I know I've told this story so many times, but for example, how the women in this church each pieced together 10, 20, whatever dollars to get me a kitchen that actually worked and a dishwasher that worked when I had nothing. And to them, they said it was not very much, but it was huge, right? That was them being God for me in a moment I needed it. So I'm just grateful to be back. Thank you.
Leave the